Is American Sign Language considered a foreign language? American Sign Language is a language developed by the deaf and hard of hearing communities, and there's a debate going on whether or not American Sign Language is actually considered a foreign language or just a second language. They think it's a second language because they believe it may be derived from English, and most people who speak ASL read and write in English. They don't believe ASL meets the requirements of a foreign language because they don't think it has its own grammatical structure, literature, or culture. But they're wrong. ASL is a naturally forming language, just like English. It is not a manual form of English, meaning it's not English that you can use, that you can speak on your hands. Although many people who speak ASL are fluent in English, English is considered their second language for some. ASL has a completely different grammatical structure than English. They tend to use the grammatical structure in word order switches around, so they tend to put questions at the end of a sentence, and they also negate at the end of a sentence. So if they were to say, I didn't go to the store today, they would say, I went to the store today, I didn't. They also use facial expressions and body language as grammatical markers. As we use it subconsciously, they tend to use it purposefully to show, it could be used as an adjective, to show if something's big or small, or if an object is close or far away. ASL also has its own culture. Even though it is indigenous to America and was developed in Connecticut and California, they have their own cultural norms that are different from ours. The deaf culture has been documented and there has been many books written about how different it is from the mainstream American culture. They tend to be very direct and don't beat around the bush, which in our culture can sometimes be interpreted as rude. They also must make eye contact through the entire conversation, and but in the American culture, we tend to break eye contact and don't stare at each other directly in the eyes for the entire conversation. And although ASL doesn't have any written language, it does have poetry, ASL poetry. They have jokes in their language, and they have stories that have been passed down through generations and generations. They also have games and wordplay and history, just like English does. But now that we have developed the technology like video recording, videotaping, and social media, a lot of these stories and poetry and the literature of ASL has been able to be documented and studied by linguists and anthropologists. After a serious debate, ASL has the evidence to prove it meets all the requirements to be considered a foreign language. It is not derivative from English as people thought before because it's its own language and it doesn't follow anything that English does or that the English language does. Grammatically, sentence, word order, syntax, it doesn't follow any of that. It also has its very own deep and rich culture that's very different from ours. It has poetry, stories, and history that shows it has some literature. ASL is now being recognized as a foreign language and is the third most used language in America.